Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and our non-binary babies, because there are some of them out there. Welcome to another episode of Live from the CRJ. I am the project assistant here at the Center for Racial Justice. I'm Lawrence Weber. I know y'all are probably wondering once again, where is Tia? Tia is here in spirit. We saved a seat for her. She's like right over here. She is currently at a conference, so we miss you, Tia. Like, come back soon, please. But I have an amazing guest here with me today. Sir, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
My name is August William. I'm one of them persons that went to prison. Well, I would say one of the innocent persons that went to prison.
Gotcha. So what we're going to be doing here, folks, is we're going to talk to Mr. August about his story. Sir, I know you have been telling folks to call you Gerttown. I know you have. But the way that my southern brain is, I'm like Mr., Mrs. I've always been like that. Even if my mama is listening right now, he told me to. He told me to, Mom. So let's go ahead and get started with your story. So how did you come to be that you ended up in the prison system?
Well, in 1968, January 11, I was charged with aggravated rape charge. Mm-hmm. The rape come about when I was young. Me and two other persons was together, pulled off a little robbery charge. And because I didn't play it fair, I might as well be serious. I didn't play it fair, didn't get a dude the money that he supposed to did come from the robbery. Mm-hmm. He wound up had his old lady to put a rape charge on.
Wow. And so were you convicted at that time, or you were convicted in 1968?
I was convicted in 1968.
Wow. So can you tell us about that sort of process? Because a lot of people, especially out here, will have this tendency to think, okay, I've watched Law and Order, I've watched CSI or whatever, and they think, okay, that is what the criminal justice system is, and we know good and well that that's not what it is. But it's even harder to think about that in 1968 in New Orleans, in the Jim Crow South at that time. Can you kind of come with us with just a little bit of what that essentially was like? Because if I'm not mistaken, you were about 15 when that happened.
I was 15 years old, and really I was young, too young really to understand what was going on. Uh-huh. All right, they said the law has passed at that time from 15 on up that you could sentence a juvenile to capital punishment. Mm-hmm. So they sentenced me. I think, if I'm not mistaken, July the 16th to the death penalty. They found me guilty, I think, in April, and July the 16th, they gave me the death penalty, paid the sentence on the death penalty. Uh-huh. I was 16 years old. I stood on death row 5 years before they abolished that capital punishment, and they sent me to life in prison.
Gotcha.
But what you're saying, how it was, well, it's hard for me to really explain how it was because I was going through fear. Mm-hmm. I want you to remember that I was young, and the people was talking crazy to me. They was telling me about they wanted me to take 20 years, and if I don't take 20 years, they're going to give me the death penalty, you know what I'm saying? And it's no way in the world I was going to take 20 years on a crime that I didn't commit.
Exactly. And I can't, let's be honest here, I cannot fathom or imagine not only being sentenced to the death penalty, especially for something that is not like murder, but especially being falsely accused, falsely charged, and on top of that, doing that in 1968 New Orleans. So in that time, so around, you said 5 years, so what happened at 5 years, at that moment that they changed, that changed you, did they just tell you, or was it a thing of they moved you? Because from what you were telling us, and also the class before us, was that you've been in Angola from 1968 to 2017.
Right.
So roughly about 50 years.
Right.
Just, and I don't think, especially for many of our younger listeners, many of our listeners who might be students here at Dillard, I don't think they can fathom that mindset of 50 years. Just for context, I was born in 1984. So I am roughly, God spare life, this coming year I'll be 40 years old. And you were still, my entire life, my whole life, you were in the prison system up until I was about maybe 34 years old. So that's the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000, all at that time. And it's just, I'm having a hard time even compartmentalizing that 50 years. Because I'm not even 50 yet. So I have a hard time. So can you talk to me a little bit about just living life?
But in prison?
Yes, sir.
Well, really, it's not a life, because in prison, it's just like an animal caged up, like a dog or something caged up. Nobody won't get caged up. Mm-hmm. And you looking at the time when I was in prison, I think that's one of the worstest times. In the 60s and in the 50s, that's one of the worstest times. Mm-hmm. And it's just like you sending a little boy to be messed over, because I'm 15 years old, you're sending where man's at, grown man's at. So when you send any youngsters where grown man's at, they're going to have a problem. You understand? So I could tell you it was a hell of a life for me. But just like it was a hell of a life, it was an experienced life too. I learned a lot from it. And like I said in the class, I always say I hate to tell a person that prison life really made a man out of me. I felt like if I'd have stood out in the street the way I was, I wouldn't have made it. I'd probably be dead or in prison anyhow. Mm-hmm. But stuff that I learned from up there, I hate to say I had to go up there to get it. But prison really taught me a lot.
So, and again, I would consider myself rather young. These kids around here consider me old. It is what it is. It's like, it's like feel like I'm old if you want to. Consider the alternative,
But don't get me wrong. Listen what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to see no person go to prison. Mm-hmm. That's not a place for nobody to go to. Mm-hmm. Because, the way we live out here, they don't live like that up there. And I feel like sending a young man to prison like they did me is kind of bad. They asked me something in the class about a second chance. I feel like every person is supposed to have a second chance.
Absolutely.
I feel like in life you're going to mess up. I don't care. You can go to college. You can go where you want to go. In life, you're going to mess up. If you recall, the football player had it in Kenham.
Yeah.
Okay? You think he was looking at that ahead? He didn't see that coming. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that to say that every person needs to have a second chance in life, because you're going to do something in life. Mm-hmm. We human beings. You talking to me now, I might be talking to you crazy tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? But my point is, the whole thing is dealing with my case is that I feel like no young person, I'm for the youngsters. No young person supposed to be sent to prison at 15 or 14, 13, whatever. I feel as though the court system's supposed to take that and give them a second chance there.
Absolutely.
Don't send them to prison, let them do time and make them come back to court and try to do something for them. You're supposed to stop that there.
Exactly. And unfortunately, especially with folks that look like us, two black men, unfortunately, there are many lives that have been, I would say, destroyed by, I hate the term thrown away. I really do. But essentially, that's what they thought. That's what their mindset was. This black man, of course, and they say black man, even though at the time you were a boy. Yeah. This black man did this, lock them up, throw away the key, and just move on about your life. But the problem is that's still somebody's life. That's still somebody's life and experience, and that life doesn't end when they do the sentencing because you went through it. And so let's talk a little bit about 2017 when you were released. Can you talk a little bit about just the process of getting released, trying to integrate back into society, trying to learn how to use a cell phone, just kind of integrating back in society,
Well, first, I'm gonna start from prison and work my way from here.
Gotcha.
When they passed the law, that was in 2010, that it was unconstitutional to send a juvenile to a sentence without giving an equal opportunity to be released. All right. I was locked down at Camp J at the time, and everybody was saying, "Man, you heard about the news? They got a new law passed. New law passed in town. You're going home." I wound up getting the news. I said, "Well, man, if that's so, I got to back off a lot of stuff. I got to get out these cells, right?" So it took me from 210 to 213 to get out the cell. All right. So when I get out the cell, the warden them tell me, say, you got to go back to school and stuff. You got to meet them people criteria. You can't get a parole date till you go back to school and meet everybody criteria. I said, well, okay, I'm gonna have to do that. So, like I was explaining to the class, man, going back to school to me was like going to prison. You heard? Because I've been out of school so long.
Yeah.
And they don't teach the same thing they were teaching when I was going to school.
Yeah.
Man. But I failed about 3 times, but I made it. All right. So when I made it, and people come told me, said, "Man, you going home?" I was shocked because even though I was going through these things, even what they said I was gonna go, but I still wasn't satisfied. I didn't believe that, So when the Baton Rouge called me and said my parole date was on such and such a date, I called my people. All of them were jumping for charge. And this the thing that really made me feel good. And I always thought that the warden and everybody was, against me because of the way I was acting up in prison. Right? So we went on the parole board. My little niece had them wrote a little story out for me. And they asked the warden. They said, "Warden, what do you think about Gerttown?" The warden said, "Well, Gerttown was here before I got here. I seen 12 wardens in that prison." He said, "Now, Gerttown had to act the way he acted when he first come to penitentiary, because the way the prison was." He said, "But when we told Gerttown to go to class and we was gonna help him go to class and go back to all them different programs, he went." He said, "Me personally, I vote for him to go." That was one great thing for me. They asked me, why should they let me go? See, that's the key part in the parole board. You the key part, because that's what they're going to ask you. And you got to give them some good reason. I told him because the person that they say committed a crime in 1968, he no longer exists. The person standing before the board today never committed a crime in his life. You know, and you know, and that was a fact. Mm-hmm. Because you're looking at a 65-year-old man, you had him since 65, he never committed no crime. You still holding me on the ground that you say a 15-year-old boy done it. Mm-hmm. What he did or what he didn't do it. You're still holding me for that. And that's the point I was trying to get over to them. You know, it's an end to everything. You cannot put a period on there. You got to put a comma on the center. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's my point when I was trying to tell them. And man, when they give me that parole, I jumped for joy. That was a feeling that I ain't never had before. Because like I told you, I ain't never been in the street as a man. This is my first time being in the street as a man. Mm-hmm. I experienced a little bar life out there. But being a man, this was my first time in life ever being experienced as a man in this world.
Now, give me a second. I'm good. I'm good. Because that was wow. Can you tell me some of the things that just kind of took you aback? Because again, 1968 New Orleans is not 2017 New Orleans. 2017 New Orleans is not 2023 New Orleans, but that's neither here nor there. But just kind of seeing like things that you hadn't seen in almost 50 years, just like going down Canal Street or going around Holly Grove, or just kind of one of those things.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, what kind of really kind of hit you once you made it home?
Well, you know, I always wanted to go back to the spot where my house was at. Mm-hmm. And it's no longer there. Xavier University got that. Same street. I do that all the time. I hit my phone, and I put that address on it, and that phone dragged me right to Xavier University. I do that all the time because that's the place I wanted to see if it was still there. Uh-huh. You know, and for the streets is so small. I couldn't imagine that was the big streets. You know, when I was on the street, it was big.
Yeah.
Because we were small, I guess. My mama was a big joint, but she was there. You know? But I couldn't imagine that the streets I had to run on as a little boy. Man, them streets so small in Gerttown, but they looked big, you know, when I was a little boy. And, you know, I'm still experiencing a lot of stuff, mm-hmm. you know, as I go on, because a lot of stuff, you know, that I'm not the type of dude that the rest of them is. I do a lot of things, but I get back too, because I already know that by me doing all that time in prison, that people look at me different.
Absolutely.
See, they ain't gonna say it, but they look at me different. You understand? Even some of my family, oh, he think he this, he think he, and I don't know, because you're still trying to handle me like that 15-year-old boy. Mm-hmm. But Xavier, when I left, Xavier had nothing but a little spot. They had the female thing on Palm in Washington. The mill was on the other side of the canal. The kitchen was in the back. I had to go in the kitchen eat all the time. I'd go in the kitchen. When I come, Xavier then took the whole. Then it took the whole Gerttown. Mm-hmm. You know, but a lot of things are surprised. They didn't have all these bridges. The interstate, they didn't have all that. When I was going there and you had to go down airline. You didn't have all that. You know, a lot of things I could tell you that really, it still shocked me because a lot of places I ain't been to since I've been home. I'm talking about in the city. Mm-hmm. I might pass on Canal Street 2 times since I've been home.
And like I said, you did speak to us about you telling your story in New York and getting on a plane for the first time. I would love to hear that story of just trying to get on a plane, because I personally, I used to work for an airline, and I've seen every sort of flyer, and there are people who are like, who will fly 6, 7, 8, 9, 25 times a year and still have anxiety getting on, buckling in, doing what you have to do. But just for you who has literally never been on one at all, I would love to hear that whole process.
Yeah, well, the little lawyer told me, she said, Mr. William, you ever got on the plane? I said, I don't want to get on the plane. She said, but I'm going to be with you. I said, what good that going to do? She said, well, I'm going to hold your hand. I said, look, that ain't going to do nothing. I said, look, I thought to change my mind several times, but I don't like to tell nobody. If I tell you something, I be trying to keep my word.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I'm going to agree on the try. She's sitting there holding my hand. She took away the seat by the window. I didn't want to get by the window. So I'm trembling. She said, Mr. Williams, she said, your ear's going to go to clock. All that went to clocking up. My ears, I went to think about the movies when the plane crashing and all that. I went to think about everything. Then you understand? All that stuff come about because a lot of people, they got killed on the plane. Mm-hmm. I always just say, that if I'm going to die on land, But that was one of my fierce moments. And when I got there to that place, a lot of people talked to me. There had people with New Jersey want me to come speak to them. There had people all over. I said, do I have to ride the plane? They said, yeah. I said, well, I ain't coming. I ain't coming. I probably could have been spoke to a whole around the world. But I'm not going in no plane. I feel that. Just like I feel boat.
I actually have that fear as well. Let's talk about what you're doing now, because I know you are trying your best to help more people now in order to help people that have returned from Angola, have returned from incarceration, and also helping young people not to go down that path again. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it's not going on like I wanted to go.
Uh-huh.
Even though I feel as though that's my plan, and that's what I feel that what God gave me the thing for. I feel that when I stood in prison, it was a lesson to me to bring out here. That's how I felt. And I still feel that way. I feel like I'm supposed to be somewhere reaching the youngsters.
Absolutely.
Letting them see who I am. Let them see me pushing. Let them hear me talk. Mm-hmm. But I feel that way, but I don't have the control to do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm that person. I told my nieces, I done told everybody. I done told some of my friends, because I don't have the power to reach the youngsters like I want to reach them. Mm-hmm. But I have the voice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I've asked this question to, I feel like, almost everybody on the episode. We've only been out for like 4 or 5 episodes. But if you had a magic wand, I guess, to be able to fix the criminal justice system the way it is right now, what would you use that magic wand for?
Say it again where I can understand you well.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm a little low in voice. I'm also turn you up a little bit. If you had a magic wand to fix the criminal justice system and what it has essentially done to you, what would you do with that wand?
I'd get rid of everything they got on there now.
Can you go a little deeper in that?
Yeah, I could go deep in that. First of all, the white folks control everything. Mm-hmm. Black people not together like they're supposed to be. You got to have teamwork to do anything. We could sit up there all day long and say, well, okay, we don't criminal justice to do this, we don't do that. But if we fighting against each other, it ain't gonna never work. Mm-hmm. The criminal justice is gonna stay just the way it is.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? We got to get together as a team. It could be done. It could be done. But if we don't get together as a team, nothing going to be done. We just going to be talking about it. You're going to call me, your next person, you're going to call him on the same mic, you're going to tell a story, but ain't nothing going to be done. Uh-huh. And my point is, the best thing I could do for it and think about doing for it, if I was to get rid of everything they got up there and start all over again.
Gotcha. Absolutely. Let's talk about your plans moving forward. What do you plan on doing, and how do you plan on helping more people?
Well, it's really hard for me to do anything, even though I want to do it, because I'm on paper. Mm-hmm. As you know, they don't even want me in the park. And that's where the kids at. I'm not supposed to be in the park. I'm not supposed to be around the school. I'm not supposed to be none of that. I don't care what I feel like I want to do. That's why I can't express to you really what I want to do, because it ain't gonna never be executed until I get there off this paper.
Understood. So let me talk about like steps to exoneration. What steps have been taken essentially to go ahead and try and get your case exonerated?
Well, two been trying to do that. We've been working on that thing about 2 or 3 or 4 years, man. Then we talked to the DA. He told me, he lied to me before he wasn't even a DA. We came there, that's enough to get him some votes. We got him some votes. He brought another judge with him. He said, man, if I win this, such and such a thing, I'm going to call you in my office. I'm going to try to talk to you, trying to get this done for you. I got yet to hear from him. He don't know nobody right now. Mm-hmm. But my point is, we've been trying. The effort, that's all we could do for the effort. But if I can't get to the right puzzle, that puzzle ain't going to be made right.
Absolutely. I know we're moving towards the end, and thank you so much for giving us just a very small piece of your life and your story. If you had someone in front of you right now who is kind of going down that path, what would be the first thing you would say to them?
Tell them, look in the mirror. You ask me why I'm telling them that?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to know.
Let me show you something. Yourself is the one that committed all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Once you look at yourself, see me, I look at myself every day. If I can't control me, ain't no sense in me doing nothing. You is the key to life, man. You is the key. Right now, you in this class, what position you hold? What position you hold in class? I'm just trying to show you a point.
Absolutely. I'm the project assistant here at the Center for Racial Justice.
It start from you. Everything starts from you. So if he don't try to do nothing himself, it ain't gonna never work. Mm-hmm. I was 15 when I left. All right? Ain't no way in the world that I was gonna let anything happen to me. I was still gonna fight until I got out. So the best thing I could tell him is look in the mirror, man. It's you. It's not the system. When the system gets you, they're gonna deal with you, but it's you. It's just you. Ain't nobody putting no gun to the kids, and nobody making them doing anything. It's them. They don't listen. They don't do anything. All I'm going to tell you, and that's all I'm going to tell you, just look in the mirror. Just understand what Michael Jackson said with that song, and understand what that song was telling you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Mr. Williams, thank you so very much for coming. Not only just speaking with the class, but speaking with me here on the show. I really appreciate that. I really hope that so many who can listen to you and can hear your story can understand not only the life lessons that you can bring, but the life lessons that your story can show so many people, especially about how the criminal justice system works then and how it works now. And unfortunately, very little has changed.
Let me say this before we go. I'm going to tell all of them. I'm going to tell everyone. I hope they're listening. Prison not the point. It's them, man. It's them. I don't want to see nobody go to prison. All the youngsters today, they're crying about what the crime, they're stealing cars, they're doing this. Mm-hmm. Okay. But the prison system is making it up for the black people. It's made for us. It ain't made for the white people. It's made for us. And they got to sit back and inventory themselves, man. You got to inventory yourself and see what's going on.
Absolutely.
See, that's when I be saying the mirror. Sometime when I do something, I go and get locked up in the room. Tom, you're moving too fast. You're doing this. Get back there. Don't do this. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Man, that prison is waiting on you. They got a bed for everybody up there. Mm-hmm. And if you, man, look, see that head you got is big on your body. If you don't use that head, you might as well just go away because you got to use that head. It's heavy, man. Ain't nowhere in the world them young dudes supposed to be out there killing people, stealing no cars, and doing all that.
Absolutely.
I'm the key. You'll see that them people ain't playing. I'm the key. I did 50. I don't want to see them do no 50. So wake up, man.
Absolutely. Mr. Williams, thank you so very much for coming on and speaking to me. Because that was an amazing thing. Even though I had to stop a little bit. It's okay. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for, again, listening to us. If you have questions, comments, concerns, if you want to ask us a question, and we can do it here on the show, you can go ahead and email us at ducenterforracialjustice@gmail.com. That is ducenterforracialjustice@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram. Yeah, that's that. That is CRJ_DU. Once again, that's CRJ_DU. And if you want to know a little bit more about Mr. August's story, you can, or Mr. Gerttown, I gotta put a Mr. on it. I'm sorry. You can go ahead and email bar-none, that is info@bar-none.net. Once again, that is info@bar- you got to put a dash in there, none.net. Go ahead and follow bar-none.net. Go ahead and fill out the petition for Mr. August and his exoneration, because it has been way too long. Much too long. Until next time, I am the project assistant here at the Center for Racial Justice, Lawrence Weber. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next time.